Hey guys, welcome back. This is weekly coaching number 25. I am Mr. Rip. I'm recording this live on Twitch. This week we're going to be looking at a Lion replay where he felt like his other two lanes were losing and he really wasn't sure whether he should stay with his Luna to protect her in lane or start roaming. And then there was a couple of questions as to how much should he be stacking and how can he be stacking better. And then were his items good, because he went for a Blink Ags because he felt like they really needed the damage. And also just in general, like, what should you be doing when your other lanes are losing? What do you do when it's like the enemy team is snowballing? That's mainly what we're looking at this time. So let's get into it. Okay, so we'll start from here. With the same considerations as always, right, when we're going into the game. So, you know, what do we think the lanes are? And then how do we expect the lanes to go? And this is like a good first step, right? So if we're in this double ranged matchup, the first thing we want to be thinking about is like regen as a top priority. We need lots of regen here because it's going to be a lot of like poking and harassing. There shouldn't be a lot of kill threat unless someone missteps, right?
Yeah.
And also another thing that we've mentioned before, we want to be spending our gold. Want to stay on top of that. So we're floating like 500 gold right now. We could have like a stick definitely in this type of lane. We don't want to be sending more tangos. I also find that if it's something I didn't mention before, but if it's a lane where I feel like there's actually not even that many great items to buy, that's where I actually will prioritize starting with more sentries, because I have nothing else to really buy, right? Like I don't need move speed in this type of a lane. I don't need armor. It's basically just like buying stats, regen, and like an extra sentry just ahead of time.
Okay.
And you had a question about stacking these two.
Yeah.
This camp in particular, these Vul assassins, you have to pull these a lot earlier because they're ranged, and sometimes they'll stand there and just like punch you instead of actually running out of the camp. So when it comes to stacking these two, you want to stack this one first and then this one.
Okay.
Another thing that we want to be thinking about all the time with our lane matchup is how important is this hard camp and how important is it to keep the lane pulled back at all times. So in a quad ranged lane, especially one where like both teams have lots of AoE, the hard camp can just potentially be farmed by you guys, so you might not need to stop it from being from stacking, but also from spawning at all. But also you have to keep in mind that like if you guys lose control of the lane, like they push you under your tower, then they can farm the shit out of that hard camp, right?
Okay.
In general, I would say it's always a good idea to just keep this hard camp blocked all the time. And this is something I've mentioned to you before, but like you kind of don't want to. You want to try not to sit on wards for too long. I think you body blocked the first spawn on the camp, but then after that we should be trying to put our sentry down there.
Okay.
Another way you can think about sentries as well is how much you're allowed to play on the side of the lane versus how much you need to stand in lane with Luna, right? So I would say in this type of an instance, what you would be mainly thinking about is, do I outtrade the Jakiro? And if I do outtrade the Jakiro, then I can rely on that happening, and I can afford to just body block his camp. And then I reserve my sentries to unblock my own camp, right?
Okay.
If you feel like the enemy support outtrades you, then it's more important to have extra sentries to make sure it's blocked, because if you go to like body block it, he'll just kill you, right? Or you'll take a ton of damage.
Yeah.
Right. Well, let's kind of jump ahead, because like at this point, I would say she's not really ready to start jungling yet. But basically, once Luna hits about like level 5, and once she gets her treads, that's about the point where she can start jungling reliably. Because your question was like, do I need to stay with the Luna forever, right?
Yeah.
Even if
so
you're
there was a point when like I didn't see Bounty Hunter in the lane and I only saw like the Death Prophet, and I was like, do you need me to be here?
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah. Like she was like, yeah, I need you to like stay with me.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay.
So it's good that you asked her, and that you factored in like what your teammates wanted to do. But what I would say is the way that you would deal with this, especially if you feel like your other lanes are losing, is
Yeah.
the earlier you can get out of your lane, and this is even if you're winning, the earlier you can get out of your lane and start impacting other lanes, the better, right?
Okay.
Basically, the only time that we want to just camp in the safe lane is if we're repeatedly farming kills off of them, or if the other lanes are already winning on their own. That's
Okay.
kind of it. That's really it. In basically
Yeah.
any other instance where the lanes are even, or one of them's losing, or whatever, even if your lane is losing, it can be a good idea to like just leave and go do other things. It's the only
Okay.
thing is that we don't want to leave if the carry can do literally nothing by herself, right? So
Okay.
if it's a carry that can jungle reliably, like Luna, then it's fine. We can actually leave her earlier than normal, like a Sven, like a Troll Warlord, something like that. They actually don't need to lane. They would prefer to lane, but they don't need to, right? And it's more important to make sure that like everybody on your team is getting some farm than it is to make sure like one person's getting like 30% more farm than they would be otherwise. Does that make
Okay.
sense? Because like,
Yeah.
who's gonna like? If you look at your comp, let's say like nothing's actually happened in the game yet. Who on your team
Yeah.
is going to dictate the tempo of this game, and who on the enemy team is going to dictate tempo? Where are all the moves going to revolve around for both comps?
Mid and off lane.
Okay, so I would say a lot of the movements are
Uh,
going to be based around bounty hunter for the enemy team.
Yeah.
And then on your team, it's going to be based a lot around Pudge and Timbersaw, right?
Yeah.
Because these are kind of your highest kill threat heroes. Ursa, we wouldn't expect to be doing much. Luna, we don't expect to really be doing much, right? Invoker is your mid hero, but also he's not, especially in lower brackets, Invokers don't tend to roam as much as they should, and they don't go for kills as much as they should.
Yeah.
But even compared to other mid heroes, Invoker is not the most active mid in the game, right? He can be played mid, but it's like it can be played very active, but it's not natural for that hero, right?
Okay.
So we don't really need to play around Invoker too much. Basically, what I would be looking at to kind of answer your question about like, you know, camping Luna and protecting against Bounty Hunter and like who do we play with and all that stuff. All you need to do for the Luna is make sure that she has some sentries to protect her against Bounty Hunter, and that you give her a ward before you leave, and that she's like basically level 5. But that's basically it. That's all you need to do. You just need to make sure that she like hits her treads timing. Like at this point, like she shouldn't even be worried about the lane anymore. She has Morbid Mask and treads. She actually doesn't need to go back to the lane anymore. She could just farm anywhere, right?
Okay.
So what we want is we would want observer sentry combos at the entrances. So like over here, for instance, like what pathway is Bounty Hunter going to take in to come kill the Luna, right? If starting from mid, he's going to come through here, or maybe here, or he's going to TP in, right? He's not likely to come from this angle. He's more likely to come in from the top left. So having like, say like using a sentry here and then putting your ward out here like they have in this spot so we can see a Bounty Hunter walking through, that's a really good defense against Invis heroes in general. Just like sentry obsing, like sentry warding, like at entrances, basically. So like if let's say you're on the other team, right, and you wanted to protect your jungle against Invis heroes, you want to have like sentry observer ward combos at the entrances. That's the first thing. So get that combo down for her, make sure she's at level, and then decide who you need to go play with, right? And then the rest of it is going to be based around timings. So like what important things are happening like right now. So 9 minutes, basically nothing's going on, right? We want to be thinking about like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Those are catapults, right? Anytime it's nighttime is a good time to make a movement. And then anytime runes are spawning, wisdom runes or power runes. Now that's what should dictate when you're making moves.
Okay.
We've talked about that stuff before.
Yeah.
Okay, so important thing that we always want to do We're going to go in your player view. Right when you're respawning, we want to look at what you're looking at. I'm going to actually go back to the entire time you were dead. I'm going to look at this. As remember, we've talked about this before, how much it's important to
Look on the map.
yeah, to look around and check things, right? So kind of like shopping right now. Like, see your cursor over there. And you know, sometimes whatever, like you get distracted or something, but that is it is the best time to look around is when you're dead, because you're not actually playing the game, right? So this whole time
Yeah,
we could be like looking at top and inspecting it.
I was thinking what items I should go. Like if I should. I was debating if I should get like a small item, or like a big item. Or
Yeah, I don't know. What would I purchase here? If I already had my stick and my tranquils, I would look at maybe just like some cheap items to make me a little bit faster and a little bit tankier. So like,
Okay.
I don't know, like a fluffy hat and another windlace. But that's with the expectation that I'm going to be moving around a lot and kind of brawling.
Okay.
Even like raindrops. I know you're a lion, but like the raindrops to help you against like magic burst, you know, like Death Prophet or Rubik, right?
Yeah.
But absolutely, we should have.
I think I was thinking like Glimmer or like versus Blink,
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, I might have to get Blink.
yeah. Well, like I said, because it's Bounty Hunter, I wouldn't prioritize Glimmer.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't really need to. I mean, like it's nice, but half the item's effectiveness is negated by track, right? So I wouldn't be thinking about Glimmer here. I think Blink is fine because you, besides like maybe Pudge, you really don't have like a Blink initiator on your team. And your team's gonna need like Blink stun is always good, right? That's never like a bad thing to have. So I think Blink is fine, but I don't think it's a hyper priority.
Yeah.
So I would just like focus on little items, like you were saying. So like windlace, finishing your wand, fluffy hats, maybe even like a casual bracer, raindrops, blood grenades, always good. But also, if we're planning to move around a lot, we want smokes, and we also know we're gonna need dust because it's a bounty hunter, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, lots of little items is good. I've been buying a lot of little items lately. Even just like a random like windlace, just to help me move around faster. Even if I don't plan to build it into anything, windlace is good. And now that Bracer's been nerfed, I think fluffy hats are a nice like replacement for that.
Okay.
Not if you ever want to buy like 2 of them, but buying at least 1 of them can be okay. It's at least a built-into 4-staff, right? All right, we're looking around. Nice. TPing in. Questionable decision to TP into Jakiro's ult, but still good that we looked and we TP'd.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
So yeah, so what's next coming up? We've got the Wisdom Rune coming up and the Power Rune. I would prioritize the Wisdom Rune over that, so make sure your team's going to go for that, and then think about where to go. Yeah, you're just hard saving for Blink. There's value in buying some small items first. I don't think you like super duper like need a Blink right away. And actually, come to think of it, the windlace gets even better this game because I mean, you've got Bounty Hunter and Death Prophet and Ursa that can be kited, but also having that dispel so you can get rid of track is really nice. So turning the windlace into a Yule's eventually would be pretty good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So okay, so this is perfect, right? So this instance, like, where is my carry gonna farm? The triangle. So like totally, you could just put a sentry right here next to this little bush so you can see both entrances, and then ward here, here, whatever. These are the areas you want to put your sentries and your wards down, because we want to see Bounty Hunter walking through these areas, right? So we'd want to get a combo in here. We'd want a combo right around here. And then if we can manage it, we want to get something out here as well. But that might be harder to do, right? Other than
Okay.
that, it's looking to put your obs like near enemy towers so you can see where they're going to. So like, for instance, Luna has nowhere to go. She's just farmed the triangle in these ancients. This is her next step, but she has no idea if the enemy's up here. So getting a ward up here or on the outpost or on the gate would be really helpful for her, or just anybody really.
Okay.
And in these instances, we want to either be farming or we want to be sitting near someone. So we're either sitting next to Pudge and Timbersaw, which are our playmakers, or we're sitting next to Luna and we're protecting her.
Okay.
Yeah. The only reason those two things shouldn't be the case is if there's like a tower that needs to be defended, right? Or if you're already winning the game, then you can afford to like go farm a camp, right?
Okay.
So let's watch a little bit more. Okay, we're running down here. So this is something I'm noticing a lot. You tend to do this. You buy a bunch of wards and then you like hesitate to place them. Is that just because you aren't sure where to place them, or is it because you just forget about it?
Nah, I do remember them, but like, it's like kind of like thing. It's like I want to get like max like a fish like thing out of them, and cause I hate when they get dewarded, and I just won't ward them. Like,
Okay.
so like I don't know what we're doing.
And so you're just kind of hesitating because you don't want to put them in obvious places.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So then I would say like maybe, well, the first tip is always put a sentry down first to make sure there's not a sentry already there. The second tip is like start looking for sneaky spots to put them in, right? So this ward, for instance, while it does see a lot of area, it's also really easy to deward because most people are going to like sentry here or like sentry over here, and they're going to catch this, right? So you got to look for sneaky spots like down here or, you know, like right here or something like that, or out here, you know, this type of a thing. Like on the edges. Usually the less the ward can see, the more predictable it is, the harder it is to find.
Okay.
But that is a general rule I would say you should follow when warding, is you should put them in like hard to reach or difficult to guess spots, right? At the expense of seeing less. Because sometimes it's valuable just to see somebody run through the ward for an instant. You don't need to have full vision of them, you just need to know they're in the area. So, like, for instance, we just had that watcher in the triangle, right? That sees barely anything, but it spots these two heroes. That's it. That's all you need to know, is that these two heroes are here, right? Unless I'm going to run in there and fight them, I don't need to have complete vision of them. I just need to know that they're in the triangle.
Okay.
Right. And wards totally make the difference in a game like this. I mean, in any game. Like, that is like a very large part of supporting, is like where you're deciding to put your wards. It influences a lot. Have you watched any videos on like how to ward well, or like good ward spots or anything like that?
Yeah, there was this like one guy, like, oh, what was his name? 1 second. Let me open up YouTube. His name's hard to say as well. I don't even know why.
It's all good. So you watch some stuff.
Yeah, it was like Zequetz or something like that. Like,
Quixotics.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah. He's a cool guy. Z Quixotics. Yeah, he's cool. I've been coached by him, and I actually I met him at the international, not this year, but last year. The last international, I met up with him there. He's pretty cool. I've been coached by him a lot, actually. He makes good guides. Yeah. Basically, like any warding guide is going to be helpful, right? Putting thought into this stuff. But also, I mean, I do want you to kind of break this habit of like just sitting on them forever, you know?
Okay.
This is something you tend to do a lot. You just kind of sit on these wards for so long. Like, a bad ward is better than a ward never placed, right?
Okay.
Yeah, it's better to just stick it. Just stick it anywhere, right? It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Even if it gets dewarded. Obviously, we don't want it to be dewarded, but it's not doing anything for you just sitting in your inventory. And I'm only saying this because I noticed the pattern of you just don't place them, ever.
Yeah.
You buy them and then you don't place them. Now, like, it is absolutely correct to, like, hold on to wards until you need them, or to not put them down in, like, gratuitous spots, right? Like, you want to save, like, a little bit of rewards for good places, but that's assuming that you will actually place them, right? We don't want to be sitting on them for this long. Because it's been,
Okay.
just to put it in perspective, it's like 23 minutes now. How long have you been sitting on these 3 sentries? Let's see. Okay, there we go. So we bought a bunch around here. Let's see. Yeah, okay, 14 minutes. So you're holding on to these sentries for like 9 minutes. Does that put it in perspective?
Yeah.
It's 1/3 of the game. More than that, right? And just imagine like how many times you may have like spotted bounty hunter with these, even if they're like not in great places, you know. Just like here, just stick a sentry here, right? You know, stick one up here, whatever. It doesn't matter. Just put them anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah, really big thing there. Yeah, that's another good point. So EO in the chat just said it's even worse in your inventory because your teammate could have bought it and placed it. Yeah, that's a really big thing. That's something that I've been trying to work on myself, and I think I've made a good improvement on it lately, is actually not buying all the wards, because then the entire ward strategy is just whatever I decide, and maybe somebody else on my team would have a better idea of where the ward should go, right? So I try to actually leave a couple for the other support to buy. Like, deliberately I leave them, because normally if it's up to me, I buy fucking all of them. Like, I will buy the sentries out of stock, you know? I'll do that with smokes too. I have a bad habit of buying all of the smokes, and then they're all on me, and then no one else can make any smoke plays unless I'm involved. Which is, you don't really want that much control over the game, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So leave a couple, leave a reserve. Like at least one ward and one sentry in stock, right?
Okay.
Alright, we don't need to talk about that anymore. We've been holding on to these for a long time. Trying to think about this. So let's see if we hit all these concepts. So, what to do when other lanes are losing? Basically, like,
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
yeah, we talked about that a little bit. Itemization, we talked about that a little bit too. Your question of like buying an Ags. One of the main reasons why not buying an Ags, or why buying an Ags is bad, especially if you're rushing it, is because you have this gigantic period of time where that net worth isn't being spent.
Radiant's middle tower is under
Okay, so we'll have a look real quick. What time did you actually buy the Ags? Or what time did you finish it? Boop, 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 boop. You waited to buy a blink. That already has a big opportunity cost of you have like 20 minutes of not having anything else, right? So it can be rough to do that on a position 5. And then we start working on the Ags at 28, and we finish it at 32. So basically your item progression was, I mean, I can just look right here. Tranquil Boots at 3 minutes, Blink at 19, and then finishing the Ags at 32. So that's like a lot of time in between any item progression at all, right?
Okay.
This is why the small items are good. So just buying fucking wind laces and fluffy hats, cheap items that give you a lot of like, give you a big return. Like, yeah. And I think also this is like playing Lion in this way, like while it is fine, it is also very one-dimensional, right?
Okay.
Because all your hero does is jump people and then shit out a bunch of damage.
tower is
like he can't save anyone really. It's not like you have like a Force Staff or a Glimmer. We already talked about how Glimmer's not the best, but we can't save our carry. We have no way to like buff anybody, which is why most people are like buying a Pavise and stuff like that, or a Solar Crest, or you know, even like a casual like Drum or something, right? But I'd also say, you know, it's like 20 minutes of the game and you don't even have 1,000 health yet. This is why Bracers just got nerfed super hard. Yeah. It's because it made so much sense to spend 500 gold to get 300 health, right?
Okay.
So now that Bracers are nerfed, we have to like really think about like, well, that was obviously good for a reason. So is there any way I can replace that value, right? Can I buy anything else? Okay. Which is why I'm mentioning like casual Bracer, just like one of them. Fluffy Hat, maybe going into like a Drum, right? Just something to up your health, because you have less than 1,000 health at 20 minutes. It's kind of crazy, like how squishy this hero is. You're very easy to kill. Like Bounty Hunter takes off like half your health in one attack, right? And this is also why defensive items are kind of necessary. This is the reason why I stopped playing Crystal Maiden, because I would be always tempted to just buy Blink Dagger, and then I'm running around with fuck all HP, and I just explode constantly. Right?
Okay.
So we really want to get away from that. We want to like tank up a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. Any questions about any of that?
No, I just think place forward, tank up.
Yep.
Get small items.
Yep. Okay. All right. So we're at like 27 minutes now. So let's make sure we hit all these things. So for our lesson summary. So what to do when other lanes are losing. Let me turn this down a little bit and we'll have this run in the background. So what to do when other lanes are losing, right? Or if it's even. So I'm actually going to pause this. Okay. So we want to roam as early as possible, and we want to play around objectives.
Yeah.
There's runes and tower pushes, right? That's going to be dictated by the timing. Itemization. So we want, you know, these little small items I mentioned, but we also need lots of utility, right? So blood grenades, smokes, dust, all super important items. Don't ignore those. Smokes are the way you come back into the game. Like, it's really important. Like, it's obviously going to be, like, just really hard to coordinate with people. But practicing using smokes, even if you're just smoking yourself to get the hang of it, will help a lot. Because if your team's not going to fucking buy them anyway, like, it's totally fine for you to be using them. They're cheap and they give you like a pretty big advantage. Like, I even sometimes solo smoke myself just to move faster. Like, let's say I'm like, I just died and I need to get back into the fight. Like, I'm respawning, right? Like, if I gotta run super far, like, I'll smoke just to like get there faster, right?
Okay.
So blood grenades, smokes, dust are really important items for making plays. Was making stacks good? Yes, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Tips on stacking double outpost camps. So you need to stack the lower camp first, or we'll say attack, because of longer travel time. That made sense, right, with those creeps?
Yeah.
And then should we stay with Luna or roam? We stay with Luna as long as she actually needs us. She might feel that she needs you, but doesn't actually, right?
Okay.
So she's a ranged hero. She's already safer. They don't have mobility. They don't have jump. Like Death Prophet Jakiro don't actually like, I don't know. They don't like tusk snowball into you, right? It's not like playing against like an Earth Spirit or something like that. They kind of walk at her. So if she dies, it is kind of on her. She should know that's going to happen, right? Because it's telegraphed.
Okay.
So let me write it out. So stay with her as long as she needs you there to not get zoned. That's the most important thing. Because if you leave her there like level 1, what's going to happen? The other support's going to run at her and zone her out of all the farm, and she's going to get nothing, right? And then that's the only reason that's like different is because when she's super low level, she can't go jungle efficiently. It'll take her forever to kill one camp, right? So we can leave her once she can safely farm jungle or like clear waves quickly, right?
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. So basically, yeah, like the earlier we can leave her, the better. Okay. Any other questions that we didn't hit on?
Nah, I think that was most of it.
Okay. All right, for sure. Well, then we'll call it there. We hit about 32 minutes. That's pretty good. Better than normal. Does this amount of time work? Like, do you think like it's better to kind of speed through it and just hit the things, or do you think it's better to go more in depth for like an hour?
I think it's fine like this because I'll just, if there is something I'll just ask and we can like go through it if I ask, if that makes sense.
Okay, sounds good. Cool, man. Right on. Well, thanks. Glad we finally got it done, and I will see you next week.
All right, thank you.
Oh, and I'm sorry, I wasn't fucking sharing my screen this whole time. Were you watching on a stream?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had the stream up.
Dude, I'm a mess today. I'm sorry. This whole session got
No
fucked
worries.
up. I forgot to stream it, and then I forgot to record it, and then we were delayed. Yeah, we'll do better next week.
No problem, bro. I'll see you later then.
All right. Have a good one, man. Later.
I will. Thanks again.
No problem.
Thanks, yo. All right. Bye.
Bye. All right, we got through there. Goddamn. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. If that was helpful, check out the other videos at the end of this one in the playlist. If you want to get coached by me, you can check out my Patreon. Leave a comment down below. If you had any questions about any of this stuff, feel free to comment, and I will answer any questions you have. If you want to watch these live or just want to watch me play, I stream every weekday about 3 p.m. onwards Pacific time at Mr. TV on Twitch. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.